So you're this little Timmy who has a bunch of bad habits that he just cannot get rid of for the life of him. You have these bad habits, whether it would be eating junk food, you're not consistent at the gym, you're fucking jerking off 10 times a day, it doesn't matter what it is, but you want to get rid of them and you don't know the best approach to do it. Because quite frankly, getting rid of these bad habits is all about strategy. It's not about, I'm just going to leave them out of nowhere and I'm just going to say fuck it and just stop doing them and I'm just going to hope for the best. I'm going to do it cold turkey. I'm not going to replace them with anything. I'm not going to actually strategize and be like, okay, what's the best way to actually leave these bad habits? You just do it like that and, you just hope for the best. You are causing yourself a detriment and I'm going to teach you how to get rid of that rut that you're currently in. Rid of that rut. I like the tone of that. Anyway, I'm going to teach you how to get out of the rut that you're actually in right now. So stick around, but before we get into that, if you want to join a community of like-minded young men and women just like you who are always trying to improve, who are always trying to get better, you can join that link in the description. We have our Brotherhood community Discord. Both men and women are welcome to join regardless of the name. It's called Our Brotherhood. Link in the description, brother. See you there. This happened not too long ago. I was in my semi-truck because I am a truck driver after all. And I actually stopped truck driving because I'm going to dedicate full time into this YouTube stuff and make it absolutely completely blow up. But anyway, I was trucking, and as I was trucking, I was noticing my bad habits are starting to pile up. They're piling up little by little, okay? I was on self-improvement prior to being a truck driver, and I was doing really good. I was eating really healthy. I was working out every single day. I was meditating. I was journaling, all the good stuff, okay? And what started happening is as I was in the truck, all these bad habits started piling up, little by little. They were just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Was this on accident? Absolutely not. In the truck, you can't be in the gym as much, obviously. You don't always have a gym near you. You have loads to deliver. You have priorities, okay? You can't just always be at the gym. You can't meditate as much and you can't do journaling as much because I was literally inside of the truck with my dad and all that stuff requires you to be alone time, reflection time. Reflection time is really uncommon, all right? I mean, I'm literally with my dad and I have absolutely no time to myself to actually reflect because I'm 19 years old and I can't go out on the road by myself since I'm not 21. So these bad habits obviously become very prominent because all the good habits are actually way harder to do. And even if you are listening to self-improvement podcasts, reading self-improvement books and doing all this stuff, it's way harder to apply those things in a truck when you're isolated than when you're just at home and you can literally just go out to the gym whenever you want. You can be at home and meditate, just go inside of your room without any fucking engine sprawling in front of you and just journal, meditate, do all of that good stuff. And so little by little, they started piling up. And as soon as I got home, it didn't take me more than 2 days to get back on the self-improvement grind. But did I just do it cold turkey like that? Like, I just got rid of the bad habits. Like, all of a sudden, I'm not doing these bad habits. I'm not doing them as much. No, there was a deliberate strategy, a well thought out strategy that I implemented that allowed me to get back in the self-improvement grind as soon as I got back home. Like 2 days ago, 3 days ago. What did I do? It's about resetting your brain. That's going to be the first step that you have to do. You have to reset your brain. You have to understand that your brain, it has a dopamine system. And if you don't know what dopamine, that's going to be for a later video. And there are many other videos to watch on that, all right? But anyway, you have to reset your dopamine system. You have to reset your brain so that it actually becomes productive and likes to do the good stuff. And now what do I mean by that? You know what the snowball effect is? Of course you do, all right? So it's like a snowball effect. If you're constantly doing bad habits, constantly, it's going to be way harder to actually stop that snowball. Like you're going to be in a constant snowball effect of bad habits. You're going to keep on doing these bad habits. As a result, you have to actually put in intentional effort to stop them. But where a lot of people go wrong is that they don't know how to stop the snowball effect. They snowball effect into this complete rut of complete degeneracy. They're on their phone all the time. They're scrolling. They're not getting anything done. They're really unproductive and they don't know how to stop it. And that is what I'm precisely going to teach you to do right here. And the way you do that is you reset your brain. Whenever you are doing bad habits, I want you to do one thing. If you can't stop them, you don't have to start the good habits. You do not have to stop the bad habits and start the good habits right away. What you can do is just to do, and it's going to be a little hard, but it's not going to be as hard as just starting the good habits. Just do nothing. Yeah, you heard me. Do nothing. You have to let your brain process everything that is going on at the moment. All the stimulation, all of the emotions. You have to meditate. You have to get it out in a journal. You have to go on silent drives. You have to do all these things that absolutely just let you be in this silent state of mind of processing. When your brain processes all those emotions and it processes everything that's going on around them, then what's going to happen essentially is you're going to reset your brain. You're going to reset it so it's not stimulated anymore. And as a result, what's going to happen is you're going to have a clean slate. In this clean slate, you're going to be able to put in whatever you want. Now, how long you should meditate and journal for, it depends how stimulated you are. If you just got out of like a 4-hour TikTok binge and you scrolled over here, messaged that person, went on Netflix, did this bad habit, fucking jerked off over here, and did this over there, played video games over here, you're going to be journaling and meditating for at least like 2 days, maybe a day or two. And then you will be fully reset. And then, only then, should you start the good habits. Because what happens, you can think about it as an echoing chamber, okay? And you can also think about it as a full cluttered room. An echoing chamber in a fully cluttered room, where is noise going to bounce off? You're going to see how this connects to what I'm talking about here. When you actually have a room that's cluttered, how does the noise bounce off? You don't bounce the noise too much. Because there's too much clutter, there's no room for the noise to actually like vibrate and actually do its little thingy, okay? You understand the point. And when it's an empty room, there's an echo chamber. There's a lot of room for like all the noise to flow around freely, and it actually releases all that energy, and you can hear the echoes. Now, where I'm going with this is when you're doing all those bad habits and you try to implement the good habits, you're trying to implement them in a cluttered room. You're not letting those good habits sprout, energize, just expand. You're not letting them do that because you have all this clutter that you have to get rid of via meditation. Think of meditation as you opening your window and throwing out all the clutter, just everything that's inside of your room. So it's like just completely clean. You're cleaning out your room. Every single time that you meditate, that you journal, that you do this mindful stuff that actually processes your emotions, you're opening your window and you're throwing out the clutter. You're throwing out the clutter, and as soon as your room is empty, that's when you start implementing the good habits. You start bringing in the objects that are actually good habits. And that's when, like, okay, you can think of the good habits as the noise. The noise starts bouncing off freely. It starts bouncing out of the walls and everything freely, and you can hear the echo. You know what I mean? Like, it has a lot of strength behind it. And it's way easier to do the bad habits. To do the good habits, my bad. It's way easier when you have no clutter around you of all these bad habits that are preventing you from doing the good habits. You're all caught up in the stimuli of doing this bad instant gratification stuff. Of course, you're not going to get into the good habits. It's just too much to ask for. You're asking your brain to just do this impossible task of, okay, you're doing all of these mentally stimulating things. Now do this. Now do that. Fuck no, it's going to tell you you're crazy. I'm not going to do that. And I want you to stop listening to these idiots who are telling you to not watch self-improvement content, because there's a lot of people who tell you, oh, bro, don't watch self-improvement content, don't watch. And I'm not saying this to retain you, okay? To retain your attention or to tell you, oh, keep on coming back to my channel, but there's a clear benefit to it. If you're watching self-improvement content and you're not taking action, that's a different story. You shouldn't be watching this, and quite honestly, you're a dumbass, all right? Because you're watching self-improvement just to feel like you're actually getting something done, and you're not actually getting shit done. You're not taking action. But you should be constantly watching self-improvement content and implementing, because what's going to happen is you're going to watch self-improvement content when you're in a clean slate. Okay, remember, this goes back to the clean slate that I told you. Meditate. Once you put self-improvement content inside of that clean slate, you're going to be thinking about self-improvement now, thinking about self-improvement, thinking about self-improvement, and it's going to be way easier to do the good habits. Okay, why do you think people who are degenerates, who have this hard time getting rid of all these bad habits, why do you think they have a hard time? It's all they think about. It's all they think about. They don't have a clean slate, and they try to force in the good habits. That's not how this works. You have a clean slate, you put in the good habits, you start thinking about them, you start obsessing over them, and that's how you get obsessed with something. You give your mind something clear to think about, you are not distracted by all this outside noise, you have a clear mind, and you give your brain something to think about. You give your brain, you choose what you give your brain to think about when you have these clean slates. So they're very dangerous, because if you have a clean slate and you give it video games to obsess over, you give it porn to obsess over, you give it Netflix to obsess over, you're going to be fucked, obviously. But if you give it the good stuff to obsess over books, you give it the gym to obsess over, you give it all of these good things to obsess over, obviously, you're going to be well off. You're going to be doing way better than the dude who is over here all with a cluttered mind, okay? I hope that turned a light bulb on inside of your head, all right? Like that, you really just have to have a clean slate and just give that clean slate, okay? You get that clean slate with meditation and you give it something to do, and that's how you get the good habits rolling. That's how you get the snowball effect to start rolling. You get rid of the bad snowball by just throwing it out, and the way that you do that is meditating, all right? Hope that little light bulb with you, and hope that makes sense. And remember, brother, a man who masters himself is truly free. Have a good one.